CNN reporting on the latest development Friday in the keep Trump off the ballot so that he can't win storyline here. Illinois saying, they said a collection of voters. I wonder if any of those voters were in the 12th district, congressional district of Illinois, because we have their representative. Oops, sorry, we've got the representative on the phone right now from the 12th district, Congressman Mike Bost. Thank you for being here with us, Congressman.
Thanks, Annie. Thanks for having me on.
Were you surprised when you heard that Illinois was the next in
No,
line?
no, not at all. You know, I worked in state government in Illinois for quite some time, but, you know, it's really wild that day. My wife and my campaign staff and several others were up there filing with State Board of Elections that day, early morning that day, and it took about an hour or maybe two for all of a sudden these guys to file, you know, pretty radical liberals to object to try to remove Trump from the ballot on an 87-page document that under the Clause 14 that is basically what these other states are using, and that's for leading an insurrection, you know, and no one has ever charged anyone with insurrection regardless of January 6th. Any of the people there or President Trump, none of them have been charged, but yet all of these states want to go down this path. And I think that they're going to I think the Supreme Court's going to throw this out under unanimous ruling. I just have to believe that because the thing is, what makes an insurrection, and there's.
Nope, looks like we just lost him. Let's get him back on the line. Congressman Bost of Illinois' 12th district there. He's going to give us a call back. He said he was going to be on the road. I want to play regarding this Trump on the ballot thing. Let's listen to the advocacy group Free Speech for People who wanted to have
Donald Trump engaged in insurrection and violated his oath of office. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, enacted in the aftermath of the Civil War, disqualifies from public office any individual who has taken an oath to uphold the Constitution and then engages in insurrection or rebellion against the United States, or gives aid or comfort to those who have.
Donald Trump's words and actions incited a violent assault on our nation's capital.
5 Americans died and more than 140 police officers suffered injuries.
Free Speech for People and Mi Familia Vota needs your help to ensure our election officials do their jobs.
Sign our petition urging secretaries of state and chief election officials across the country to follow the mandate of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment and bar Trump and his fellow insurrectionists from appearing on any future ballot. Join the movement to uphold this critical provision of the Constitution
and protect our republic.
So that's the Free Speech for the People. It's their ad and their platform with which they are using to try to eliminate Donald Trump from the ballot in Illinois, among other places. We've got the congressman back on the air with us.
I'm back with you again. Sorry.
That's okay. We know you're out working hard right now. Well, let me ask you this question. Were you in the Capitol building? Or were you there on January 6th?
Yeah. Yeah, I sure was. I was actually in my building across. You weren't on the. There was actually, you didn't really know anything was happening. Matter of fact, people carrying Trump signs, waving and smiling. Everything was positive. Everything I watched on the news, you know, and so yeah, I felt no danger. I know that there was problems in the Capitol, and you know what? If you broke in and you did damage, then yes, you should be charged. And let me tell you, some of them have been charged.
Yep.
But not a single one of them have been charged with insurrection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems as though this is a major pillar nationally for the Democrat Party, is to make sure that people are very, very adjacent to the January 6th memory, at least the way that they want to imply that January 6th went down. They said it was a very violent day. We have a weird way of comparing riots and violence in this country and trying to use it for political gain.
Well, the thing is, you always wanted to mention January 6th, but you mentioned nothing about they mentioned nothing about what happened in Seattle and the other places around the nation where police officers were killed, others were killed, property damages were in the millions, if not billions, fires were set, and this is not against the government when you attack local police stations. Good heavens, we had it happen in Carbondale. Right. We had a group that attacked the local police station in Carbondale. But instead, but it doesn't fit the narrative of the Democrat Party, which is trying now because this president has accomplished nothing, and what he has accomplished is bad, and so they've got to look at something that they can paint with a wide brush from a 36,000-foot level, and this is the only thing they can come up with, and they've got to try to take the president off the ballot because they don't want to try to beat him in the ballot box because they know they can't.
Congressman Bost, do you think there's going to be any success, the Secretary of State in Illinois, or any possible success that Trump has kept off the ballot?
I think as the Supreme Court, remember, even though you have the amendment, the 10th Amendment, which requires the states to be in charge of the elections and everything, and normally that hadn't been ruled upon, but the first time that was ruled upon was actually over the hanging Chad. So that kind of set a precedent that the Supreme Court can rule in something like this. And if they rule it one, that will automatically set a precedence for all. And I think they're chasing a something that's not going to come to fruition, but it's just keeps people out there focused on it, and it's their job to try to do that. So. Yeah. This is the way they do things.
Yeah, it's clear that the number one way that the Democrats are investing in beating Trump is just to make it so that we can't vote for him, which means I think they don't have the means by policy, or at least they're confident enough that that's going to be enough for them to win in 2024.
Because you can't run on the policies. You don't have a secure border. You have an economy that's crashed. You have fuel prices through the roof. You have inflation that's going wild. You've had two major wars start in the world that not a single war was started at the time that Trump was in office. You've got questions on our foreign policy. The list goes on and on, Annie, and he can't run on that. So all he can do is try to grab something and pray that something else breaks out so he can run from the basement again.
Yeah. We're speaking with Congressman Mike Bost. He represents the congressional 12th district in the state of Illinois. You're also the chair of the House Veterans Affairs Committee, and I'm going to read here from Axios. Report here, House Republicans and Senate Democrats have come to an agreement on top-line spending numbers for the rest of 2024 announced by congressional leaders on Sunday. And here's a bullet point. It says $886 billion of that is Pentagon funding set out in defense spending bill President Biden signed in December. It says that leaves $704 billion in non-defense spending, Johnson's office said, touting, quote, the first cut in non-VA, non-defense appropriations in years.
Right. And that's just it. We should look through with a fine-tooth comb to show where we can roost. But then the Democrats have always screamed, oh, you're going to cut veterans. Okay, read that again. No, we did not. And, you're going to cut Social Security or Medicare. No, we did not. So that means we're going into those other areas. We're looking for a reduction. But remember this. If we don't pass all 12 of those budgets, everything, because of the agreement that was reached to increase the debt ceiling, everything, if we don't pass all 12 budgets, everything gets a 1% cut.
Ooh.
Now try to figure that one out.
Yeah, and who will be responsible for that? What would you say about Speaker Johnson's leadership so far? Some people are saying he's caving here. Some people are happy that he was able to get that kind of cut in spending done.
Right. Look, like Kevin McCarthy, when you become speaker, you can have your policy and your voting card. You have that. But when you become speaker, you've got to look and make sure that we can actually move what it is that we need to move. Right now, if you want us to cut the level we would like to cut, govern the way we'd like to govern, give us more members in the House, give us more members in the Senate, and give us the presidency. And then we can govern. Right now, we are a small majority of the 1/3 that it takes to make these decisions. And yet we're actually in the driver's seat on a lot of things and are bringing the budget down and trying to put it under control. But we know we could do better if we had the Senate with us along with the president.
Yeah, it will make a big difference in November of 2024 to expand the Republican majority. What do you think about your experience so far in Congress? And, should you return again in 2024? I know you're running for re-election. Does the Republican Party, does the organization of the congressional Republicans have what it takes to build on the majority that they were able to take in the last election?
Yeah, yes, we do. And here's why. We are recruiting. We are one of the most diverse conferences that ever has been. We have We have two women from Korea that are in the Republican caucus, many Hispanic, African American. The list goes on and on. Males, females from each different walk of life, and it is fantastic because it is a symbol of what this great nation is, but also each one of them are also true conservative Republicans. Now, some might be more conservative than others, but don't judge them based on that. They're voting on their district, and they should. But we can have those discussions, and we know we govern better as conservative Republicans than the Democrats do that just want to keep spending and expanding government and going down the path of turning over to communism and socialism, and the list goes on and on.
We're speaking with Congressman Mike Bost. He's the representative for the 12th district in Illinois, and he's the chair of the House Veterans Affairs Committee. You've done very well in your service in that regard as well. I want to ask you this before we let you go, because people are in the primary process, about to vote or caucus, I should say, in Iowa a week from today. And there are a lot of people who support the majority of the same thing when it comes to the Republican Party. We've got a Trump, DeSantis, Haley, Ramaswamy, a couple other people, Chris Christie still involved in that. But a lot of people are still searching right now on what it means to be conservative or Republican. I'll ask you that question. What does it mean to you?
Well, one thing is truly what it means is we understand the Constitution. We know that federal government has gotten too big, and we've got to make sure we have a sensible turndown of that. That being said, we must do what's in the Constitution. We must work to make sure we control our borders, provide for a national defense, deal with foreign entities, and deal with interstate commerce. That is the true mission of what it is that the Constitution says. So a constitutional conservative governing, and that's why I refer to myself as a governing conservative. That doesn't mean I'm wanting to shut everything down, but I'm wanting to find that place where we can continue to govern and do it in a way that it makes it better for our children and grandchildren in the future, and that we are truly allowing the people to be free and maintain that freedom, and that they can pursue the American dream. That's it, and that's what it needs to be. And what we need to have less Republicans turning on Republicans, and understand that the real problem is not the Republicans, but the Democrats we're trying to be.
Yeah, to define who the true opponent is here, and to make sure that people check records to know that conservatism in actual practice is a very, very valuable thing. And we're always appreciative when you're able to tell us about your efforts to do that. Serving the people of the 12th District of Illinois in Congress. Congressman Mike Bost, thanks for being with us today.
Annie, thank you for having me on.
You bet. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Congressman Mike Bost.